Hey guys, this is the Auto Enthusiast, and today we're looking at the 2014 Hyundai Elantra GT. We're going to do an in-depth review, check out the interior, and take it for a test drive. Stay tuned.
I just want to thank Alex and the staff down at Clay Hyundai in Norwood, Mass. It's a great dealership and a friendly group of people. Their information will be listed in the description below. The 2014 Hyundai Elantra GT is another one of Hyundai's sleepers. It is certainly not a sports car, but has some performance perks that will spice up your everyday driving. It has a 2-liter, 4-cylinder inline engine that produces 173 horsepower and 154 pounds-per-feet of torque. It goes 0 to 60 in about 7.8 seconds and has a quarter-mile time of 16.1 seconds. With the classic Hyundai smile and attractive body, it is a pleasing sight on the road. It has sports-tuned steering and a sports-tuned suspension. It competes with the Honda Civic and Mazda 3. It gets 24 miles to the gallon in the city and 33 on the highway. The 2014 has some performance upgrades. It has more horsepower and torque than the older models. The conservative rear and attractive badging help obtain this car's moderate look. This is a 6-speed automatic, but comes in a 6-speed manual if desired. The rear spoiler and long back windows give the Elantra GT that sporty touch. This subcompact vehicle has a well-engineered aesthetic appearance. One thing Hyundai does very well, and designs in a very similar manner throughout all of its cars, are the aggressive and long LED headlights. The trunk space is pretty good for such a small car. Space is definitely maximized. The seats can be put down, and it is quite deep to begin with. The added cargo net is a nice perk that maximizes storage. The doors are rather simple, with only important controls. The buttons, dials, and overall layout are nice. The quality is extremely high for the price tag. There is also a massive amount of space in front of the shifter knob that gives the driver tons of ability to store everyday items. The cup holders are also really small, and we couldn't really fit any regular sized drinks in them, which was a problem with this car and other cars of the same size. This steering wheel is one of those things that Hyundai carries over model to model. It isn't leather wrapped, but still has that sporty essence and is a very comfortable wheel to hold. The back seats are on the larger side for a car of this nature. The back seats are larger than the competing Civic and Mazda 3. Headroom is okay, but legroom and overall comfort is great. The physical layout is pretty standard, especially with the competing cars. They're very similar. The Hyundai definitely doesn't have bench seats like the Civic and the Mazda 3. They're a lot more comfortable, more of a bucket kind of seat-esque. And the cup holders are nice on the doors, and there's also a cup holder in the center armrests. The overall space is pretty good. The door is actually pretty wide and can fit a lot of stuff. The glove compartment is okay. It's average size. It's nothing really special. It's not too small, but it's not crazy big. And again, the space in the center is great. I'm not really sure what I'd put in there, but when I would use it, it would be a great feature to have. The armrest does move back and forth. The only thing we found was there was a lot of resistance, and we didn't really like that. The actual space inside the armrest is pretty narrow and skinny, but it's really deep, and it was quite large.
The feel of the interior is actually really nice. You know, this is a lower-end car. It is the higher trim of a lower and kind of 4-door small sedan subcompact, but the interior is really nice. Hyundai's done a nice job engineering something that's attractive. You know, there are a few cheap features that you'll find in every car of this kind of class. It's kind of got like a plasticky sound on everything, but other than that, it's pretty driver oriented. You've got nice controls. The quality of everything is pretty high. I'm impressed. Another good thing is the Hyundai kind of carries over their flashy and sporty gauges with every car that they have. And the steering wheel and the gauges of this car are just really attractive. I feel they just give me a good feeling about the car. The actual screen's small, like I said before, but again, it's like the interior is a lot like a Fiat. You know, it doesn't look like a Fiat, but it's got a lower shifter knob. I had the same feeling as if I was in a Fiat, which is really nice. Except for this one, it's a little more classy. Not to say the Fiat's not classy, but I get kind of like a more luxurious feel out of this one just because of some of the design layouts. And overall, it's a nice interior. I'm very surprised. So one thing that I did notice about this car that is a little of a downside is the actual key fob. You know, it's a standard key fob, but for a 2014, I'd like to see something a little more advanced than we have. But really, that's my only complaint. So let's go take it for a drive. Another thing that I've noticed that is different is I'm pretty far away from the wheel. You know, my legs are at a comfortable distance, and I'm in the position that I'd normally be driving, and I have to kind of reach for the wheel. Now, personally, I have on shorter arms, like on the shorter side, so if you've got longer arms, it might be a little more comfortable, but it's something that is a little different that I didn't expect. The wheel is great. I'm just a little further away from it than I would have expected. We're gonna pull out here, give it a little bit of gas, and see what this thing does. So yeah, it's got some pickup. It's a very quiet car, which I really like. You know, you're not gonna get by this car to like tune it, make it loud. It's pretty quiet, but it gets to pretty high RPMs before it shifts, which is nice, you know? It's not what I expected. I expected this to be quick shifting, slow, but certainly it doesn't have a super fast 0 to 60 when you're talking like seconds, but it has some nice pull for the car that you're buying. Another thing is the visibility is actually great in this car. There's a lot of window space and natural light. It's a nice car to be in. Like, it's pleasant. The overall feel is pretty good. It's very refined. It's what you'd see. It almost feels like a luxury car, and it's a very inexpensive subcompact car. It feels like a luxury car. It's very refined. It dulls out the road, but not too much. Overall, the suspension and the way the car feels is really nice. Turning in this car it's impressive. The steering is a little heavy. It's not as soft as power steering, which personally I like that. As being a driving enthusiast, I really like a heavier wheel because you feel more of what's going on the road. And the steering is pretty impressive in this car. And the handling as well. Like, there's not that much body sway. The car doesn't lean too much to the one side. Overall, it seems like a very balanced car. And again, I'm very surprised. It's got a nice feel. We're gonna put this bad boy in sport mode. Wait till I can pull out. Okay, we're in sport mode. We're gonna give it a little gas. So the shifting is really responsive. Again, it's a quiet car, but the shifting is responsive. It shifts when you want it to shift, the Shiftronic. All around, I think Hyundai does a great job making these Shiftronics, these automatic manual shifters, because they're pretty responsive. I've never had an issue. You know, you can definitely get an automatic and get that kind of feel of a manual. You know, certainly it's not a manual. It's not going to be the same. You're not going to have the same control over the actual engine. But if you need to get an automatic, it kind of can substitute that desire to control the gears. When I was accelerating, one thing that I noticed is the powertrain kind of came on at higher RPMs. So it doesn't have a lot of great low-end torque. You know, you're not expecting that out of this car. But you don't feel the pull of the actual car until you hit about 3,000 or 4,000 RPM, which is nice and a downside. You're not going 0 to 60 really fast, but when you do go and you want to stay in lower gears, you do get a pull. It's a lot like a V6, not exactly in performance, but the way it feels in the car. And I think that's nice. You're taking a subcompact car that isn't designed to run around a track, and you're making it really fun, and Hyundai's done a great job engineering that. We're gonna do one more little burst of acceleration here. The car is really balanced when you accelerate, and it doesn't make a ton of noise, but it has the noise when the actual RPMs are coming up is satisfactory. It's not quiet. It reflects what the engine is doing very well. and it's really satisfactory as a driver to hear that. I'm like, oh, I'm really accelerating, and it feels really good. Overall, this car is really not what I expected, and it's fantastic. I'm really happy with this car.
Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Definitely leave comments and questions below. Let me know what your experience has been with this car. Please subscribe and check out some of our other reviews.